Hi, my name is Samuel Gray, and today we're going to be going over a little bit of information regarding a potential flight from Lima Yankee Hotel over to Lima India Tango with a proposed alternate of BTR. And specifically, we're going to be talking about some approach information into the Baton Rouge airport and some hypotheticals with the specific aircrafts and some conditional items. Okay, so the aircraft that we're flying today for this proposed trip is a CRJ 200. This is a twin jet, typically 50 seats depending on the configuration, and this is a popular aircraft that is used for regional airlines. All right, so let's talk about the slash A that we see here on the slide. So based on the aircraft's configuration, it's going to have a certain designation. In this case, we have slash alpha, which means, based off our chart here, that the aircraft is equipped with DME, mode C, altitude reported, and a mode C, altitude reported capable transponder. Pretty standard stuff. However, the only issue with this aircraft is that the autopilot and the flight directors are inoperable. So that's gonna play or have an effect on what approaches we can shoot, what our minimums are gonna be. Okay, so once again, our route, we have a flight today from Lynchburg, Virginia, over to Little Rock. The alternate is going to be Baton Rouge. Most of our questions, almost or all of our questions, are going to be centered around the Baton Rouge approach. It's actually an airport that I'm quite familiar with as well. So that's where I went to flight school over there at Gulf Coast Aviation, Baton Rouge. So I'm pretty familiar with the approaches over there and their equipment and the layout of the airport. So it was pretty nice to see old BTR on there. Okay, so the first question is the weather forecast at our time of arrival at Baton Rouge. We have 1800 at Baton Rouge. So if you look over here in the chart, it's got our flight information with our ETA and our ETE. So if we look down at the weather information from the TAF for 1800, we'll see 1218/1221 for that tempo right there. 1 statute miles, visibility, thunderstorms and rain, broken ceiling at 500 feet, and scattered layer up further up. So some cumulonimbus clouds as well. So let's talk about the significance of that. Really not concerned with the scattered layer at 2000. Maybe the cumulonimbus clouds are indicative of some thunderstorms and stuff like that. It's already mentioned in the TSRA. But we've got some pretty pertinent low IFR conditions that are forecasted in the tempo. Once again, that is a conditional statement. We'll talk about that and how that plays into the exemption later on, whether or not it's relevant. All right, so question two, what's the minimums for one nav in the KBTR ILS localizer runway 13? Just to sum it up here, we've got 667 feet MSL, 60 feet AGL. So what we did was add 400 to that, okay? And then we got 267 plus 400, 667 feet. And then we'll add 1 statute miles or 1600 RVR to the viz. The RVR would now be 2400 thanks to the deferral. So 16 plus 24 RVR equals out to RVR 4000. So RVR 4000, and to summarize, we've got 667 feet MSO, adding that 400 to that 267 minimum, and an RVR of 4000. Okay, so question three, what are the two nav alternate minimums for KBTR ILS localizer runway 22 right? So this is where the NOTAM comes in. So in the NOTAM, we have ILS runway 22 right, glide slope is out of service, so it's in out. That means it's localizer only. It's going to affect our minimums, right? Okay, so once again, we're going to add 200 feet to the MDA of the DA. The higher of the two, and then take the higher of the two approaches used. So for the lower one ILS into runway 13, 667 feet, localizer into 22 right, 680 feet. Then we're going to add a half a statute mile or 800 meters to the viz of the higher of both the approaches used, and that's going to be the localizer into 22 right. um, with an RVR of 6,000. Okay. All right. So the fourth question: can we legally list Baton Rouge as the alternate for this for flight planning purposes? The answer, unfortunately, is no. It's illegal to use Baton Rouge as an alternate for this flight. Exemption 3585 is worth mentioning, but it's not going to be very relevant here because the weather is reported underneath the tempo, so it's a conditional statement. So exemption 3585 would allow us to dispatch the flight based off of that, but we're still not going to meet our mins. So visibility must be forecasted at or above one half of the minimum. So forecasted visibility 1 statute mile, 1 nav mins 3/4 statute mile, and 2 nav mins 1 1/4 statute mile. If the minimum visibility would have been a half a statute mile or lower, then the alternate would be legal for planning purposes. Okay, so a little what if scenario. If the glide slope were operable at KBTR, it wasn't NOTAMed out. Let's talk about if it wasn't NOTAMed out. You had 200 feet to the MDA or the DA of the two of the higher approaches, or the higher of the two approaches, excuse me. So this would be the ILS and runway 22 right. That would be 470 feet or 400 feet AGL. Looking at the ILS runway 13, we've got 467 feet MSL, 400 feet AGL. All right, so at a half a statute mile, 800 meters to the visibility, the higher of the two approaches for ILS runway 13, that comes out to 1 statute mile RVR 4,000. Okay, so we can also mention Tutu right as well, but it's the lower of the two. So that one's going to be 7/8 statute mile and an RVR of 4,500. But yep, that's it for all 5 items, and best of luck. Thanks.